Here we go. Ready, ready, ready. Good morning. Good morning. Hello, 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 or good afternoon. Hello, everybody. Hey, this is Warren Redlick. Thank you so much for watching Sunday Live. We're going to talk about Tesla. We're going to talk about SpaceX. We're going to talk about a whole bunch of things. Are you ready? Let's go. And before we dive deep into it, I want to thank moderator Mark Plott. I think there will be other moderators in the chat. I want to thank everybody. Please participate in the chat. The chat is for subscribers only, so please consider subscribing to me here. And also, please consider subscribing to me on the Daily Lie. Daily Lie. I'm going to be doing a video after this. After this video, I'm going to do another live stream on the Daily Lie. I try to do this every Sunday. On the Daily Lie, I'm going to talk a little bit more about Tesla, and I'm going to talk about topics. I usually talk on Daily Lie about topics I can't talk about on YouTube for fear of censorship. I'm going to be talking about a sensitive topic, and there's a link in the video description below. We're going to talk about something related to public health that YouTube has just got a long history of censorship on, and I just don't want to play with that. So that's going to be on here, a little bit of a deep dive there. So we're going to go about an hour here. We're going to go about a half hour on the Daily Lie. When you go to the Daily Lie, you have to click sign up to watch for free. Today's video will be free. Some of the content on there is for supporters only. I appreciate any support there or on Patreon or as a YouTube channel member. So we're going to dive into all that. Let's start with this. I've been avoiding Lucid Motors lately. I haven't been talking about Lucid as much as I used to. I think the Lucid story is kind of dead. Oh, look at Maka says, I'll talk about Lucid. So we're going to talk about Lucid right now. I might do a full Lucid video soon. There's a particular detail in here. This is their press release, January 12th, which is 3 days ago, that they're bragging about producing 3,500 cars in Q4, which is a big jump. Okay, that's nice. They're bragging that they produced 7,000 vehicles, which exceeded their guidance of 6,000 to 7,000 vehicles, which was their updated guidance after they badly missed their original guidance of 20,000 vehicles delivered in 2022. At some point, they figured, oh, crap, we're not going to get there, so let's set new guidance. And, okay, so now we've exceeded our guidance that we set low expectations, and we exceeded the guidance. But that's not the worst part. The worst part is they produced 3,500 vehicles in the quarter. They delivered 1,900 vehicles. And for the full year, they produced 7,200 vehicles and delivered 4,400 vehicles right here. So by my math, they've got 2,811 undelivered vehicles. Now, if their average vehicle price was $100,000, that would be $280 million in inventory that they're not able to deliver. Their average selling price, their average MSRP on these vehicles is probably $150,000 or more, because a lot of them are Grand Tourings at $154,000. So that would get you to $420,000. And I know 420 is great. If I could work, there is a 69, 4369. We did sneak a 69 into the story, but 420,000 based on MSRP. But that's not even the whole story. So the $420 million they're holding in inventory, that is trouble. But what was their cost of goods sold? They spend like $500,000 to $1 million per vehicle that they sell for $150,000. So it's really like, it's not 420. This is over $1 billion in cost of goods sold that they haven't recognized yet because they haven't sold the vehicles. So like, my take, Lucid's in deep trouble. They did get a recent investment from the Saudis of $1.5 billion, and the Saudis paid over market. I was surprised that the Saudis paid over market. The Saudis are trying to keep this pig afloat. And, pigs do swim, so there is hope for Lucid Motors, but I don't think there's a lot of hope. The Saudis are going to keep writing checks, okay. At some point, I think the Saudis have just got to take them over and take them private, funding secured and all that. At 420. We can get 420 in there a bunch of times. All right, so that's the brief bit on Lucid Motors. I might do a full video on Lucid, but I'm not feeling it. Honestly, I think people have lost interest. You guys can tell me in the audience. My sense is that the audience has lost interest in Lucid Motors because Lucid Motors is basically dead. They're a zombie. Heading into a recession, people can't afford to buy cars. They're selling luxury cars. It's a problem. Okay, and again, the Daily Lie. Right after this video, we're going to go on the Daily Lie. I'm regularly making content there. Please consider supporting me there. I am gradually doing more content on the Daily Lie. I'm continuing to do about the same or even more content on YouTube, but over the long haul, it's likely that I'm going to shift more to the Daily Lie. Ultimately, I'm probably going to end up on Twitter. if Elon is able to deliver Twitter better, then I'll probably be on Twitter more in the future. But for now, the Daily Lie is, to be blunt, I'm making more money on the Daily Lie than I'm making on YouTube. I have a much smaller audience on the Daily Lie, but thanks to supporters who support me, I make more money there. I continue to do YouTube. I continue to enjoy YouTube. I love this Sunday live stream. I love the feedback in the chat. So I'm very happy with all of that. But, there's a practical reality here. If I'm going to make more money on the Daily Lie, I'm going to do more on the Daily Lie. And it's a free speech platform. I can talk about what I want to talk about. With YouTube, I have to fear censorship all the time. Oh, William says, interested in any Nikola comments. I just saw a tweet that Nikola, by my count, Nikola has about 100 trucks, 100 of their semis sitting on a lot that has a value of about $40 million that they haven't delivered. If I got the numbers right, that's crazy. I don't know who Chris Norland is. Somebody else mentioned Chris Norland to me before. I don't even know who that is. Okay, so we're going to talk about SpaceX, and then we're going to talk about Tesla. So starting with SpaceX, there's a Falcon Heavy launch. It was supposed to be yesterday. It was moved to today. I will be outside. I live 10 minutes from the beach. Like if you go this way, there's stuff in the way. You can't really go this way to get there. But if you go out to it's a 10-minute walk for me to the beach. It's another 20 or 30-minute walk for me up to Jetty Park. So I expect to watch the Falcon Heavy launch from Jetty Park today. I might drive, but more likely I'm going to walk it. It's cold out, but good for me to get out and walk. And this is going to be one of the most spectacular launches because of the time of day. The sun, I think, will have just set, so there won't be a big bright object in the sky making it more difficult to see the rocket, which you can see the rocket when it's burning, but when the engine's not firing, it's hard to see it during the daytime, and at night you can't see it at all because there's no light. But right after sunset, I think because the rocket is 70 or 80 miles up, or I think it might even be higher than that, the booster, at stage separation, the boosters are going to separate from the second stage, and the boosters are going to come back to the Cape. And one time I was able to see the coal gas thrusters, puffs coming out of the booster, even though the booster is too small to see at 70 or 80 miles up. The puffs you can see. And so I think we'll be able to track the boosters all the way back to the base. That's going to be spectacular. And then because the air is colder, I'm told that the sound carries better. So the sonic booms will be stronger and the sound of the rocket launch will be stronger. So this is going to be a lot of fun. It's a military satellite, Space Force satellite. I'm not sure the exact details. I don't think they tell us the exact details. Weather greater than 90% favorable for liftoff today. So very, very excited about that. Other SpaceX news, Crew Dragon came back. This is one of the things I want to hit on here about SpaceX is the volume of activity at SpaceX right now. SpaceX started off, barely able to, or not unable to launch rockets. Then at some point they got to be able to launch a rocket. Then they started landing rockets. And now it's just like a huge volume of activity. So they got so much going on. Here's the recovery. Dragon retrieved by recovery team. There's this nice view from the recovery boat. Starship fully stacked. I got a couple more pictures of that coming. Chris Bergen, if you're going to follow anybody on Twitter and you're interested in SpaceX, aside from Elon and SpaceX, follow NASA Spaceflight and also check out their YouTube channel. They're one of my go-to channels for following what's going on with rockets in general. He says, does this sound right, Elon? Cryo? Because Elon says Starship launch attempt soon. He previously said late February, early March. Chris Bergen says, does this sound about right? Cryo test today, which was a couple days ago. Then WDR is wet dress rehearsal. D-stack for 33 engine static fire. They take the Starship off the top, and then they do a 33 engine static fire of the super heavy booster underneath. Final TPS work on ship 24. That might be tiles. That might be the tiles for reentry. I'm not sure what that is. They have to make sure the tiles are on properly so that the thing doesn't burn up on reentry. Restack, launch license, possible end of February, early March if all goes well per your previous timeline. And Elon says that's a good guess. So it's not saying yes. He's not saying no. It's a good guess. So this is what's coming with Starship. Lots of activity with Starship and some beautiful shots of Starship. This is, I think, from SpaceX's Flickr account. Check out SpaceX on Flickr, Flickr. And check out their tweets. They mention on their tweets. Then Starlink. SpaceX signed an agreement with the U.S. National Science Foundation to prevent Starlink's interference with astronomy. I think I've got another one. Yeah, there's more SpaceX Starlink stuff I've got coming. Elon mentions that Starship with its voluminous cargo bay will enable incredible space telescopes for astronomy. So I know Elon has talked with some academics before about what kind of space telescopes would be able to be launched in Starship. So I think that's something that's coming. And then Tesla owner Silicon Valley, I think they interviewed Elon recently. Said how many Starships is SpaceX looking to build this year? And Elon said about 5 full stacks. I was surprised at that number. SpaceX has been building a lot of Starships and a lot of Super Heavies. When he says 5 full stacks, I'm not clear what that means. Will there be more Starships than Super Heavies? That would have been a good follow-up question. But if in 20, I think this is a very clear sign that we're probably not going to Mars in 2024. If we're only going to have 5 full stacks this year, I think the volume of Starships you need in order to be able to orbital refilling to be able to launch a Mars mission is high. And then, even the question of whether the Dear Moon mission, I think you still need orbital refilling for the Dear Moon mission. So I think this is probably indicates that the Dear Moon mission will be in 2024, that Starship will start significant operations in 2023. I'm not sure whether they'll be able to get orbital refilling working with only 5 full stacks in 2023. So we'll see how that goes. Once there's a working rocket, then they'll be able to launch it multiple times. So they'll be able to do a lot of launches, but you need to have something up in space to hold the fuel that you're going to refill. And it's not clear how they're going to make that work. So we're looking forward to seeing that one. Thermal protection system. Thank you, Mark Plott, for the TPS. This is just a little bit funny here, but some, I guess, parody account or whatever says the next thing to worry about, the World Economic Forum says the next thing to worry about is a catastrophic cyber shutdown. Government says we're preparing for a catastrophic cyber shutdown. People say it sounds like they're planning a catastrophic cyber shutdown. And then the media says wacko conspiracy theorists worried about catastrophic cyber shutdown. This is roughly how the media is today. And Elon seems to think the answer to all this is Starlink. I would add Starlink and solar. So I am making progress. This is just a side note. I am making progress. I expect to be building a solar home near Melbourne, Florida, probably West Melbourne, starting in a few months. Buy the land and build a home there. I think I've talked about it before, but basically a 30, 60, 90 triangle, not a triangle like this, but a triangle like this with the sun over here and 20 kilowatts of solar panels and generating a lot of electricity for the home. So I think I'm going to make that happen this fall. And yes, thank you, Free Kekistan. Please like this video. Please support me on the Locals on Patreon as a YouTube channel member. Exclusive content members of YouTube channel members at the exclusive content level above get early access to my videos. Patreon supporters and local supporters get early access to a lot of my videos. So please check that out. Anyway, so Starlink is a good apocalypse solution. So is solar. And then this is another one about Starlink, that SpaceX is going to be providing Starlink to Air Baltic. There's another company that I saw recently that SpaceX is providing Starlink service to another airline that's like a smaller, like business class airline, which had fairly reasonable prices when I looked it up. I may actually start flying that airline soon. So free Starlink airline internet. And then the other thing, this is just a detail about SpaceX activity. 4 rockets on 4 pads and 2 Dragons in orbit today. The one came back that we saw. There's one still attached to the orbiting lab. Falcon Heavy rolled out of the hangar. 2 Falcon 9s ready for launch, and Ship 24 stacked onto Booster 7. So much going on. There's a whole bunch I think there's several launches before the end of the month. I think there's a launch schedule for February 1st. There's so much going on. Chris Anderson. We're going to get to Tesla now. So let's turn to Tesla. Before we get into this, I don't want to reveal that right away. Chris Anderson says that Doug DeMuro said that GM, Ford, and Toyota's autopilot is just as good as Tesla's. I just watched a video of a GM Cruise, I think it's GM, a cruise vehicle that was driving, and there's a bicyclist following him. I think it's a friend of mine. I forget who it was now. And the Cruise went onto the shoulder, nearly hit the curb. It's an empty vehicle that's operating as a robo-taxi. Didn't see the line for the shoulder, whatever, crossed onto the shoulder, drove on the shoulder for a while, and almost hit the curb. So Cruise is terrible. FSD beta is doing spectacular. But let's dive into Tesla. So the first thing is I made a video yesterday, the day before yesterday, a live stream about my modeling what I think is going to happen for 2023. And this is not my standard. My favorite model is the battery revenue model. I also like my robo-taxi model and my bot model for the long-term future of Tesla. I try not to get focused on short-term things like what's the stock price going to be in 2023. but I'm going to cave. I caved on it a little bit, and I did a little bit of analysis. This is not my price target. This is a form of analysis that could lead you to a price target for 2023 of $160. And the next column over and the next column over are a bear case and a bull case. This is a base case. So, and I did a full video on this on the Locals platform, and I got one key detail wrong, which was the net profit. You can see here it says at 2/3. The numbers in this chart are adjusted. It's at 3/5. Net profit, by my rough estimate, is 3/5 of gross profit, not 2/3 of gross profit. So that was my mistake. It may go up. That may change, but so this number is updated from my previous number, which I think I had like $180 a share. So let me just talk through this. Base case, this is assuming 2.2 million vehicles delivered. The bear case is 1.8 million. The bull case is 2.5 million. I'll go through those in a video, another video on the Locals platform soon. Average selling price, 46,496. It's a ballpark guess. By my math, revenue, it's really revenue per vehicle on the vehicles, vehicle revenue per vehicle. On Tesla's ballpark, $55,000 revenue per vehicle. So this is a drop. This was a drop of about $8,000 revenue per vehicle. Yeah, warrenredlick.locals.com. Thank you, Mark. I'll put that up again. warrenredlick.locals.com if you want to support me on the Locals platform. Thanks, Mark, for mentioning that. Mark Plott is our friendly moderator, so thanks, Mark, for moderating. So if you follow that math, and you can quibble about average selling price, keep in mind, this is not average selling price in the U.S. This is average selling price globally. The average selling price in China is lower than in the U.S. I think Europe is comparable to the U.S. There's all kinds of things that affect average selling price, so this is just a ballpark. And you end up with $102 billion in vehicle revenue, and then I ballparked gross vehicle margin at 20%. I actually think that's conservative, but the price drop is pretty big. On the other hand, I don't know how you factor in the Model Y long range and performance, the Model 3 long range and performance are going to get about $3,700 in battery tax credits. $45 a kilowatt hour times the 82 kilowatt hours works out to about $3,700 a vehicle on those vehicles, and those are the volume. That's the big volume. In Tesla, you've got the S and X with higher volume, small volume and high value on the other side, and then standard range Model 3 on the low side. But this is a reasonable ballpark. 20% gross vehicle margin, I don't know. And so that gets you to gross profit about $20 billion. Then for energy, I base case 18 gigawatt hours. I think it's about 8 gigawatt hours. We don't know the number for 2022, but I'm calling it about 8 gigawatt hours of storage deployed. And I'm using storage deployed as a proxy for all Tesla energy because solar panels don't have batteries, but I think it roughly works. And then energy revenue per gigawatt hour was $530 million. So you end up with $9.5 billion in energy revenue. A really important detail here. I'm going to talk about this a little bit later in this video. I'm very excited about Megapack. I'm very excited about Tesla Energy. But I just want to be clear that I don't see it as a large contributor to Tesla's revenue or profits this year. There's some voices that are pumping Megapack, and I am very excited about Megapack long term. 2025, 2026, 2030 especially, Megapack, Powerwall Solar. I don't think it's there quite yet. I think it's going to get there, but I don't think it's there quite yet. Even in my bull case, it's not that big of an impact. You can have a bear case for vehicles and a bull case for energy, and then maybe it would have a bigger impact. Relatively speaking, it's just not a big deal. James Adelbush says, what do we think about the wait times for Tesla Y and Model 3 go to now with the price cuts by February? I think that wait times are going to soar. I just talked to a friend last night, a friend who never told me he was interested in a Tesla, called me and says, hey, I'm going to buy a Model Y. And I told him, see if you can get one out of inventory tonight because they're going to go. And in fact, when I checked inventory this morning, they're all gone. Was this last night? It was last night. I said, go check inventory. If you see one under 55,000, order it. Because if you wait, they're going to be gone. And they were gone this morning. So hopefully he got it. There were like 26 in inventory within, 200 miles of where I live that were under 55,000 so they get the tax credit. And that was like yesterday, 2 days ago. I think they're all gone. So maybe you can negotiate them down to 54.9 on the ones that are priced over 55. I don't know what Tesla's going to do with those. But yeah, I expect wait times to go up because demand is going to soar. So anyway, I calculated gross energy margin at 10%. That's what I'm seeing for the last 2 quarters for Tesla as a gross energy margin, about 10%. When I look at Tesla's financial reporting. and that gives you a gross energy profit of just short of $1 billion. Again, $1 billion of gross energy profit versus $20 billion of gross vehicle profit. Energy's just not that big a part of the story. And for other gross profit, I did the same thing for all three cases. Other gross profit is essentially zero. It's not zero, but it's so close to zero compared to the other things that it's not worth talking about. I left the line in there so if people wonder, what about the other stuff that Tesla does? So far, the other stuff Tesla does is zero. Like service and supercharging, they may make a profit, but it's not noticeable. So I think superchargers eventually will be a big contribution, but compared to vehicles and energy, it probably won't. It's probably a footnote. So then you get total gross profit of a little over 21 billion, 21.4 billion. This net profit is at 3/5, not 2/3. I didn't update the column with the description, but I did update the numbers. And so that's $12.8 billion in net profit for 2022. That works out to earnings per share of about $4. And at a price earnings ratio of 40, that gives you a share price of about $163. Now, when I do the video today on the Daily Lie, I'm going to do in depth. I'm going to cover all of it. So I have that. Yeah, I have. Okay, I have to pull up the whole sheet, and I have to remember to put it in. So I'm going to cover that and do my update on this on the Daily Lie starting in about 40 minutes, 35 minutes. Okay, so that's going to be at warrenredlick.locals.com. Please check out Warren Redlick. This is going to be free. You have to sign up, and it'll be free. And then ideally, please support me, obviously. All right, so some other stuff I wanted to talk about. I did a poll of my YouTube audience. Thank you our YouTube audience, 2,800 votes. Which legacy automaker will lose the most sales due to Tesla price cuts? Please comment with others. Toyota was the biggest, which Toyota is the largest car maker. Toyota and Volkswagen are the two largest car makers. I see Model Y now price competitive with Toyota Highlander. I see Model 3 now price competitive with Toyota Camry. When you consider the price minus the tax credit, the Model 3 standard range, or whatever, Model 3 wheel drive, whatever we're calling it, is competitive with the V6 Camry. It's faster than a V6 Camry. It's got better software than a V6 Camry, and it's about the same price after the tax credit. Who's buying a Camry now? If you have the opportunity to pick up a Model 3 standard range, I would take that over a Camry any day. And then if you get the long range 3, which is going to cost more, but you're still going to get the tax credit, now your BMW 3 Series, your Lexus, whatever, ES350 or whatever, the higher end sedans, the luxury sedans, like Model 3 long range is killer. Model 3 Performance, if you want to drive a BMW M3 or a Model 3 Performance, I'll take the Model 3 Performance any day of the week. Take the Model 3 long range over the BMW M3, honestly. So there are comparable vehicles from Volkswagen that are, the Volkswagen Passat is affected, the Volkswagen Jetta is affected maybe. The Passat probably more so, but I think they're less expensive than the Camry. But, if you have a V6 Passat, it's probably comparable. Hyundai did not get much mention. I think Hyundai's lower price vehicles, maybe they don't catch much heat. General Motors and Ford, maybe. So that was a response from the audience. And then I did a poll. This is kind of like on the base case that I just showed you, I'm projecting 2.2 million vehicles. I think it may be higher than that, but 2.2 million vehicles delivered. I actually think Tesla's price cuts are an indication that they're expecting the ramp to go fast. And they're going to need prices low to sell all the cars. So, I predict 2.2 to 2.3 million vehicles. Value analyst, that's Yaman Tasdevar, he predicted 3 million vehicles. He predicted that a while ago. He says he's not making predictions anymore. We'll see how long that lasts. And Troy Teslike is around 1.8 million. What do I think will be close? What do you think will be closer to the truth? I do have a Remind Me coming on January 3rd. Now, this Remind Me didn't work, but I have another one that will work. So 46% of the Twitter audience thought I was closest at 2.2 to 2.3 million vehicles. Troy got a third. Yaman got a lot less at 3 million. And see results. People who weren't sure were 12%. I just wanted to share that. So that's kind of exciting. For me, I think the prospect of Tesla delivering 2.2... Oh, sorry, I want to justify the 2.2 million vehicles. So Tesla's at a run rate in Shanghai of apparently over 1 million vehicles a year. Tesla's at a run rate in Fremont of, I think, over 600,000, maybe 700,000 vehicles a year. And I think they were pushing for 800,000 vehicles a year. I don't think they got there. It was 14,000 a week was what they were shooting for. And 14,000 a week times 50 weeks would be 700,000 vehicles. Then you've got Texas and Berlin, which are both over 3,000 a week, which is 150,000 a year each, which is 300,000 plus 700,000 for Fremont plus $1 million from Shanghai gets you over 2 million. I believe that Texas and Berlin have already, by the end of the year had already ramped to more than 3,000 a week, so more than 300,000 a year from those two. And Shanghai, I think, is a little bit higher than 1 million. So I think Tesla's run rate at the end of the year was darn close to 2 million a year and maybe over 2 million a year. Now we're expecting growth, particularly Giga Texas and Giga Berlin should go from 150,000 a year each to 500,000 a year each or more by the end of the year run rate. Run rate at the end of December should be, there. Well, that's $1 million between the two of them, plus maybe 800,000 for Fremont, plus maybe 1.2 million for Shanghai, and you're at 3 million. So that's how you can see a 3 million run rate at the end of 2023. So if you start 2023 with 2 million and you end 2023 with 3 million, then midway would be 2.5 million, except it's a curve. It's not a straight line. So I think 2.2 or 2.3 million is a reasonable estimate. And then the fact that Tesla decided to lower prices this much might suggest the ramp is going to happen quicker than we think. That they may get to more than 3 million by the end of the year. They may deliver more than 2.2 million vehicles this year. A lot of interesting stuff happening here. So that's my thought on that. I think we're going to see a big jump. I think Tesla's going to zoom up, and the profit story with the price cuts may not be that great. The other side of that, by the way, is the $3,700 tax credit for the battery packs and for the batteries and the battery packs is significant. That's in the U.S. Cost of goods sold will decline as Texas and Berlin ramp. The cost per vehicle drops dramatically. As the model mix shifts from 3 to Y, the average selling price actually goes up a bit. Maybe they're going to ramp S and X a bit. Maybe they're going to grow a bit, and that'll help a little bit. We'll see. So I think there's a lot of different factors, and just as you get your production running more and you get better and better, then your cost of goods sold goes down. And then we have some apparent reduction in costs in the supply chain that may help as well. They've talked about that in the past. Okay, so in other news, Giga Texas, talking about Giga Texas ramping, Joe Tetmeyer is a drone pilot who flies drones over Giga Texas and reports back to people. Please check out his Twitter account, and please check him out on YouTube. He has a great video that he just published a couple days ago showing generally around the area and particularly assembly of the GigaPress. I've got that picture from that right here. You can see the GigaPress inside. Let me make that bigger for you. That's Joe. And that's his shot from inside the GigaPress. So please check out Joe Tetmeyer on YouTube. Watch his drone videos. Check him out on Twitter. Follow him on Twitter. The GigaPress, the 9,000-ton GigaPress for Cybertruck is being assembled right now. So Cybertruck is getting closer to production. This is happening. It's happening. So again, check out Joe Tetmeyer on Twitter. Check him out on YouTube. And there's a lot of other stuff. Resumed earthwork on Megapack site. That is not manufacturing Megapack. That is they're going to be installing Megapacks to support the Gigafactory. Cathode steel, structure steel and concrete work and pipe install. Many Model Ys and transports busy. There's a whole lot going on Giga Texas, and Joe covers it really well. There's an update on FSD beta. Tesla owners of Silicon Valley asked Elon when will version 11.3 come. Elon said should start rolling out later this week, next week at the latest. So, okay, it's going to be 2 weeks. He asked if there's anything you're personally excited about in this build, and Elon said many small things. We're starting to make use of neural nets for vehicle navigation and control, not just vision. This is huge. That's not a small thing. That's a big thing. If the neural nets are engaging in control and navigation is one of the worst features of FSD beta, if you ask me. The navigation's just not that good. It's not bad in general if you're just driving the car, but for the because when you're driving the car and the navigation gets you close, you just take over. But the car doesn't handle that final bit of navigation well, and I think it makes some other bits of navigation. So neural nets taking over navigation should be amazing. I feel like some of the control decisions are bad, and we'll see if that's better. I have a particular left turn that the car suddenly jerks and makes a right turn. Is that a heuristic problem? Will the neural nets fix that problem? I should know in a couple of weeks, 2-3 weeks, 4 weeks. Who knows how long it'll take? So that's going to be fun. And then just really quick at the end, Chuck Cook asked a question which did not get answered. You're starting to use neural nets for control. Does that mean you see a path to end-to-end perception to control autonomy, or there'll be a heuristic code for some time. So what's happening is software in general is written by humans, and a lot of Tesla software, the vehicle control software and other software was written by humans. Over time, neural nets take over and neural nets make decisions. And in Andre Karpathy's word, I think it's Andre Karpathy's description, neural nets are eating software 1.0. Software 2.0 is eating software 1.0. So I think it'll be heuristic code for some time, but maybe by the end of this year, it'll be all neural nets. We don't know. There'll probably still be some limited heuristic code that's human written code, but I think we're going to get to the vast majority of it neural nets fairly soon. So that's big news. That's very exciting, and I'm looking forward to it because I no longer have crash interventions, although this sudden right turn is probably something that could cause a crash. But I do have a lot of interventions, particularly related to navigation, and that is kind of a navigation error. So another piece of news that was really interesting is Teslas have the lowest maintenance cost, 10-year maintenance cost of all manufacturers. Okay. The way the article was pitched, if you check out the article, it's Crunch Junkers or something like that. Crush Junkers, something like that. I forget who I found this from. It's on my Twitter. Tesla's 10-year maintenance cost was under $6,000. Only Toyota was also under $6,000, but was still more. Everybody else was nearly $8,000 or more. Some, Acura was over $10,000. And relative to the price of the vehicle, Tesla is a huge leader. It's only 7% relative to the price of the vehicle. Lexus was next best at 12.2%. Everybody else much higher. Toyota 13%. Lots of companies are way over 20% in their maintenance costs relative to the price of the vehicle. So when you buy a Tesla, you're saving money in a variety of ways. You're saving money, electricity versus gas. You're saving money on maintenance. You never have an oil change. You never have a muffler replacement. There's a lot of things that go wrong with a gas car that don't go wrong with an electric car. So very, very exciting there. All right, let's see. A little bit about Tesla Bot. This is not directly about Tesla Bot, but Sam Corris of ARK Invest, he's one of the analysts for ARK Invest, says it wouldn't surprise me if Amazon added more robots than people at some point within the next few years. Brett Winton is also a ARK Invest analyst. He says the robotics inflection is evident reading through Amazon's robotic posts. And Elon says there will probably be far more robots than humans in the future. I think in particular, if you think about like space, like going to the moon or Mars, bots will be able to operate on the surface of Mars and on the surface of the moon without needing spacesuits and without, risking a human's life. So I think there's a lot of potential for bot to do that. And, you just see that. And, if ultimately the manufacturing cost of a bot is $5,000 and you make $100,000 a year, you might want to have a few bots. They're probably going to be able to do a lot. So, just a really quick thing. I get in arguments. Those who follow me, I get in arguments with people a lot, especially on Twitter. So I get in arguments about this one particular thing about climate change. I am not saying I believe climate change is not true. I'm just saying I'm not confident it is true. I am a climate skeptic. I'm not a climate denier. I think the climate changes. There's a lot of issues. We can have a long conversation about my views on climate. At some point, if we have like the right person to come on the channel and discuss climate, we'd probably have to do it on the Daily Lie because of YouTube censorship. But Scott Adams points out that the last 8 years, the Earth has been cooling. I don't know if 8 years is a good sample. Elon says it's easier to argue that global warming is a risk rather than a certainty, but it is foolish to roll those dice. So the point here is that Elon is not saying global warming is a certainty. What he's saying is we don't need to play that. We don't need to roll those dice. If it is going to happen, it's bad. So let's try not to have it happen. And so it's foolish to roll the dice. But given that we will eventually run out of fossil fuels, we have to generate energy sustainably anyway. So Elon's attitude is, look, climate change might or may not be real, but we need to get off fossil fuels anyway because they're going to run out eventually. So let's shift to electric anyway. So, yeah, I don't argue much. Thank you, Mark Potashnik. Thanks. I mentioned Mark Plott before as a moderator. Thanks to Mark Plott, Jim Whitehead, and Mark Potashnik for moderating the chat. So I just want to make that quick point. The other thing I wanted to mention really quick is there's a character on Twitter who has appeared who I like, but I'm concerned about. It's Zero Sum Game 33. I believe his name is Mark Henry CFA on LinkedIn, and he's been pumping Megapack. And I sort of agree with him, in some of what he's saying about Megapack, but I believe he's being irrationally and unreasonably optimistic about Megapack in certain ways. I think his projections about volumes of Megapack, and now maybe he proves me wrong. Just to be clear, he might be right, I may be wrong. I don't think Tesla is producing Megapacks in the volume he's been saying. And I think his margin projections are correct long term, or reasonably close to correct long term, that depending on which margins he's using, because he's pumped margins as high as 80%. But I do think 50% margins are possible with Megapack when they fully ramp. I don't think they're there yet. I think that there's other issues and other things that are going to take time, but I do think they may get there. And he found some source, and he seems reasonably credible. I've tried to get him on my channel for a video so we could have a conversation. James Stevenson, who's known as Iconaut Enough on Twitter, and he has a YouTube account as well, James Stevenson. He has been harshly critical of Zero Sum Game, and Zero Sum Game is not, in my mind, handling the criticism well. Jim Whitehead says, does anyone know what the margins are on Megapack? Well, Tesla knows. You can kind of see 10% margins on energy in the financial reporting. So, will margins in the long run be much higher? I think so. Will those margins jump quicker? I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't think James Stevenson earned a block from Zero Sum Game. This is why the concern I have isn't so much about Zero Sum Game. It's that we see the rise of voices in the Twitter community who claim to be bulls, and then something ends up being wrong with them. So Barry Glack, you all know, I think Barry Glack has turned out to be a phony and a fraudster. Fraudster's an opinion. This is my gut. He's a phony. I think he's dishonest. And he doesn't handle criticism well. He doesn't engage with critics, generally speaking. If you ask him hard questions, he ducks it. Invited Barry Glack on my channel a couple times to discuss his comments, to discuss the battery revenue model. He wouldn't come on. Anytime and I'd make a video debunking what he said, and he'd block me. That kind of oversensitivity reflects an insecurity that might reflect dishonesty. So with Mark Henry, I want to believe him. I'm sympathetic to his view. I don't know why he won't come on my channel. So I'm nervous. I'm concerned about that. The fact that he blocked James Stevenson, I thought James Stevenson's criticisms were reasonable. He might not like them, but they're reasonable criticisms. Check out James Stevenson's videos about Megapack recently, where he breaks down what he sees as the flaws. I'm not saying James is right. I'm just saying I thought his criticisms were reasonable, and I think a guy who's so confident that he thinks he should go on CNBC ought to be able to handle questions from James Stevenson and me before he gets on CNBC. I haven't been on CNBC. I have really cool models about what I think Tesla stock's going to do. They haven't invited me on. I got a lot more followers than this guy, and I'm not jealous. I'm not whining or complaining. I'm just saying, I think you need, and Tesla Economist is another example of this, where you have somebody who shows up on the scene, casts themselves as a Tesla bull, and then at some point they backstab the movement. In Barry Glack's case, he backstabs Elon. In Tesla Economist's case, all of a sudden he turns to Tesla bear. I predict this guy will turn. Something will go wrong with this guy. And yeah. Barry Glack has fiduciary responsibilities. I don't think that's the issue. GTP 2022 says Gary is critical thinker. Gary, so let's just talk about Barry Glack for a second. I didn't want to dive into it, but let's just talk about this. I want somebody to send me a tweet showing anywhere where Barry Glack has demonstrated a genuine understanding of battery chemistry, of the importance of lithium iron phosphate, nickel, cobalt, aluminum, nickel, manganese, cobalt, what it means to add manganese to lithium iron phosphate, that he's ever showed any genuine thought on these topics. Does he understand the difference between FSD version 2.5, version 3, and version 4? Are they just buzzwords to him, or does he really have an understanding of what large language models are and what neural nets are? Do you get the sense that Barry Glack, sorry, trying not to say his name, do you get the sense that Barry Glack really has that kind of, because if you can watch The Limiting Factor, and you can watch Stephen Mark Ryan, and you can watch Rob Maurer, and you can watch Dave Lee, and I'm going to claim a little bit of credit myself, you can watch me, you can see Ryan Tanaka from Neuropod, you can watch people, Boring Revolution for Boring Company, you can watch people who really go in depth on understanding the tech. You can watch ARK Invest, you can read ARK Invest white papers, you can see people who really dive deep on understanding the tech. Somebody send me a link, DM me on Twitter or tag me on Twitter. Probably DM me, because I might not see it if you tag me, the way my notifications are set up. But Show me where you see Barry Glack actually showing a deep understanding of the tech. I don't see it. And I don't think you can really be a true Tesla bull if you don't understand the tech. You can be a cheerleader, but you don't really understand the tech. And I've got a video on my channel, on the daily live, where I talk about Barry Glack's investment future fund advisors LLC thing, where you can invest in the company that's going to manage, or that manages or will manage his ETFs. And I think that's an indication of a problem. If you love him, you love him. So, all right. So again, the daily live for other content, and let's move on. We're going to talk about Tesla. Before we talk about Tesla, I got to go to, forgot one thing. Wanted to cover questions from my daily live supporters. One of the things that I do, I'm not going to put them on screen, unfortunately, because I screwed up, but I'll do it here. Probably can put it on screen, but I'm not going to. Questions from supporters on the daily live. Is it time for Tesla to do commercials and have a PR department? No, this is from Swiss Uncle on the daily live. No, it is not time for Tesla to do commercials and have a PR department. The Barry Glacks and Ross Gerbers and boomer mamas of the world have been saying Tesla needs PR, Tesla needs better communications, Ross thinks Tesla needs marketing. They can say all that stuff till they're blue in the face. Elon figured out, you know how we sell cars? We drop the price like crazy. That's Elon's answer. Elon's playing 4D chess, and these guys are playing tic-tac-toe and losing. They play tic-tac-toe and they lose. Elon plays 4D chess and he wins. So there's no need for commercials. There's no need for a PR department. Elon has 125 million followers on Twitter. Tesla has a bunch of followers on Twitter. There's a whole bunch of us pumping Tesla, not genuinely believing in Tesla and talking about why Tesla's great. There's a whole bunch of channels that are reviewing Tesla. There's a lot of activity on YouTube and Twitter and other platforms where Tesla gets lots of free publicity. They don't need to pay for it. Make great cars and you'll get publicity from making great cars. Model S Plaid, Model X Plaid. I drive a Model X Plaid. There's no better car on the planet. Car's amazing. Model S Plaid's stunning. The Model 3 Performance is an amazing vehicle. The Model 3 Long Range is an amazing vehicle. The Model Ys are amazing vehicles, and they're just getting better and better and better. Make better cars, people will want to buy them. I just had a friend call me. Wants to buy a Model Y because of the tax credit, and he'd never mentioned buying a Tesla to me before, and all of a sudden he wants to buy a Tesla. He didn't see an ad. He didn't read any PR. He saw the news about the price drop. That got a lot. There's PR for you. Tesla drops prices. They got a lot of attention and a lot of people. And if you go to Google Trends and you look at the jump in interest in Tesla on Google after the price drop, it's insane. Ken says, do you think that some entity is actively working to lower the Tesla stock price? Well, the Federal Reserve maybe, but I think that the stock price started falling because of genuine macro reasons, which is interest rates are high, which makes it more expensive to buy a car. Interest rates are high, so it makes bonds more competitive against stocks. And then once the stock started falling, then people started getting margin calls, and that put pressure on the stock price, selling pressure on the stock price. And the more the stock fell, the more margin selling the pressure there was. And there's some other theory about option selling pressure and then tax loss harvesting at the end of the year. A lot of artificial things cause the stock price to fall. I honestly don't really worry about the stock price. Listen, I'm very heavily invested in Tesla. My portfolio is down in dollar terms by a lot. And I don't know if you guys have noticed, but I'm not panicked. Stephen Mark Ryan doesn't look upset. Rob Maurer doesn't look upset. Why are we not upset? We know this stuff. You guys know that we're deep in this stuff. And I watch Rob Maurer almost every day, and he doesn't look upset to me. I watch Stephen Mark Ryan every once in a while. He doesn't look upset to me. And I'm pretty sure Rob's heavily invested in Tesla. I'm pretty sure Stephen Mark Ryan's heavily invested in Tesla. I think James Stevenson's heavily invested in Tesla. None of us are panicking. Ryan Tanaka, the Neuropod YouTuber, I think he's heavily invested in Tesla. He's not panicking. We're not worried. So why are you? It's going to go up. It's just going to take time. I'm not saying it's going to go up this year. It might take a year or two, but long term, this is amazing. So I just don't worry about that stuff. And is there some entity? I think there might be entities that are working to harm Tesla in a variety of ways, and I think that happens in any competitive market. Ram 012593 says, what do you think Tesla's plan will be if it is the case that they finish building the robotaxi platform factory before FSD is ready for robotaxi? Do you think they will just make the steering wheel detachable so they can sell them as regular cars in the meantime, or keep those future factories down or use them for something else? I definitely, this is my impression. My impression is, my guess, is that the robotaxi platform vehicle, the next gen vehicle, will be drive-by-wire. And so you can just put a PlayStation remote in it and drive it by PlayStation remote, or Tesla remote or whatever. Or you can attach a steering wheel. You can attach a steering wheel that serves as a steering wheel, and put pedals in there, but they go by wire. That wouldn't be that expensive to set up. I did hear from a fairly reliable source, I would say a very reliable source, that there's an intent to make a version of this vehicle for India with a steering wheel and pedals. How they're going to do it, I don't know, but I do think there's a significant chance that will happen. I think if you're able to remove the steering wheel and pedals, you actually remove a lot of parts, and this makes manufacturing easier and less expensive. It's not like 50% reduction in cost, but it might be a 2 to 3% reduction in cost. And if you find enough 2 to 3% reductions in cost, if you find 10 of those, then you've reduced costs by 20 to 30%. So I think that's what's going on. So I think it's likely there will be a steering wheel version of the vehicle, or something like that. Stephen Gillis says Goss Gerber, aka Ross Gerber, is complaining that by the way, Ross Gerber blocked me. Complaining that Tesla shouldn't have cut prices, but should have used a fraction of the price cut to spend on TV commercials. What do you think of this perspective that many have expressed? I think he's wrong. He's just wrong. There's no need for ads. You don't sell ads to sell cars people don't want at prices they're not willing to pay. I think the idea that Ross knows how to run a company, I think Ross knows how to run a wealth management company. I think he's very good at running a wealth management company. I don't think Ross knows how to run a car company. I don't think he knows how to run a software company. I don't think he knows how to run a tech company. He knows how to run a wealth management company. And there's this phenomenon where people have success in one area and they think it means they know more in other areas. Classic examples in the past where, athletes would, get all this money and then they would invest badly and go bankrupt. And look, I was a successful trial lawyer, right? I'm a successful YouTuber, arguably at least. I think I know something. I think I've done a lot of research and I understand some things well, but I don't think I know better than Elon. Does anybody think that Ross understands business better than Elon? I'm going to go with no. So those are questions from supporters on the Daily Lie. I invite supporters on the Daily Lie and on YouTube channel members, and then Patreon supporters to ask questions in advance of the live stream on Sunday. So I covered that, and so those are some pluses for being supporter of the Daily Lie. That's just the point there. I don't know what just happened. Weird. Okay, so having one of those days. I think we covered everything for that. So let's go to the chat. Media Cafe agrees about no need for ads. Add a babe to the show and you'll get to 100,000 in a silver plaque. I was trying to work out with Ellie, right? I was developing a thing with Ellie. We have Ellie on the platform more, but it just didn't. She's got to have her own channel. Yeah, someday I'll get a girlfriend or something like that. I do have good personal news. My kid got a call back for a summer stock in Woodstock. Summer theater in Woodstock. We'll see if that happens. I hope to be providing more information on that in the future. I believe that my kid will be, I think she's been on the channel, my oldest daughter, Abigail. I think she has been on this channel before in the past, briefly. So I believe she's going to be developing some social media, and I'll be pumping her social media. They need PR agency. Ernesto says they need PR agency specialized for dealing with Washington, D.C. Tesla definitely has people who network in DC. I am confident that Tesla has people who are talking to political insiders in Washington, D.C., including inside the Biden administration. They're talking to people inside the Biden administration. John Bay says Tesla in India should be Tesla Energy before they consider any volume of vehicle sales. I kind of agree with that, John Bay. Admiral Medjay says, don't worry, Warren. Every car manufacturers are experiencing some kind of financial turmoil, cause energy prices are skyrocketing in the West. They'll bounce back. Trust that Elon is just the guy who got this. I think energy prices are now falling in America. At least gas prices are. But the Tesla price cuts are devastating for legacy auto. Devastating. Absolutely devastating. Why did Farzad block me? Well, Farzad said he blocked me because I was generating, I don't know, hate or hostility or whatever. I had retweeted him positively twice that day. So I think that Farzad is too deeply tied to Barry Glack. That there's the Barry. I think that Barry Glack is borderline evil, and I think that people who fall under his sway can't see it. And when I criticize, people think I'm an Elon cultist. They're Gary cultists. They're Barry Glack cultists. I call him Darth Glack. Um, I think that there's a sense like if I criticize Earl the Frunk Puppy, then Earl supporters get mad at me. If I criticize Barry Glack, then Barry supporters get mad at me. What happens first, Tesla Robo Girlfriend or Warren Meet Girlfriend? I think I got a shot at a human girlfriend. I just had a date. It was terrible. It didn't go well, but I had a date Thursday night. I think I have a date coming up in a couple of weeks. I think there's hope. I'm very excited. I got a potential date coming up in about 10 days, 2 weeks, something like that. I'm pretty excited about that one. I'm going out, I'm meeting people, I'm dancing, I'm having fun. Maybe somewhere along the way. I think someone might have flirted with me last night. And maybe I didn't respond sufficiently. I don't know. But Brooke Chen says, such a pity. I think you should try to be friends with Farzad. I think really think having people hate you is not healthy, but you do you. So I haven't tried to not be friends with Farzad. I was friendly with Farzad. Farzad blocked me. And Farzad attacked me. I had been saying positive things about Farzad. What's a live stream without asking about the girlfriend situation? Are you ready to consider overseas options? The women in U.S. are damaged goods due to... I think there are still hope for American women. And I think women in overseas might not be perfect. Barry Glack knows, young Skywalker, you do not know the dark side of shorting Tesla. Yeah, I mean, I kind of viewed, Barry Glack has grown to nearly 300,000 Twitter followers. And he openly said he's planning to leverage his Twitter audience, his Twitter following to build up his business. I mean, look, I'm hoping to leverage my YouTube following at some point to support the Podcar and to support the solar farm apartments businesses. But I'm going to be a lot more transparent, and I'm not going to take a salary. I'm not going to get paid $300,000 a year for doing it. Bastiano, dating tip, ask questions, smile, don't say too much. Yeah, okay. I think I had fun and I flirted back, but I don't think I didn't like ask her out. Farzad did not block you, producer wife did. I don't think so. I think it was Farzad. It's a badge of honor to get blocked. Yeah, I'm not happy about getting blocked by Farzad. I got blocked by Ross Gerber. I'm not happy about getting blocked by either of them, but I said very positive. I disagreed with Ross a bunch of times, but I said very positive things about him. I said positive things about Farzad frequently. I think Barry Glack is misleading the community in a significant way that will benefit him financially. And I think that he's got his claws into these other people. That's my impression. And I'm probably being paranoid. Is it Gary's criticism of Elon that makes him borderline evil? No, it's look, go to invest.thefuturefund.com. Go to invest.thefuturefund.com, sign up, download the document, and read pages 145 and 146. You don't want to do the work. That's fine. I'm giving it to you. I'm giving it to you right here. Invest.thefuturefund.com. Download the document, read pages 145 and 146. If you still think that he's reasonable, and tell me what convertible debt. Tell me what the convertible debt is. Tell me who holds the debt. Tell me what it converts to. Tell me what the terms of the debt are. Tell me what the terms of the conversion are. Tell me why I can't find that in the document. GTP 2022 coming to Florida. Let me know. Oh, great flirt. Actually, this is funny. Stephen Brewer says, great flirt one-liner. You are trouble. So we're dancing, and there's this one girl who's dressed very sexy who's not normally there. And she's dancing, holding a beer bottle up. And there's a sign that says no drinks on the dance floor because you don't want people spilling because it makes the dancing dangerous. Somebody can hurt themselves. And it makes it difficult as well. So I brought the sign over to her and showed it to her because, this is Warren. I got to be the asshole. And I'm pretty sure she asked if I worked there. Like, no, I don't work here. So like, I could have told that girl, hey, you look like trouble, but I stayed away from her. Ernesto says, hey, I'm interviewing Farzad next week. I'll ask him. Well, I mean, Ernesto, DM me and I'll explain the situation. I'll give you some better questions to ask if you want. GTP 2022, Warren, can I buy a lunch? Sure, you can buy me lunch. People, that is something, that's one of the benefits of being a YouTuber, by the way. People reach out to me and they buy me lunch, they buy me dinner, they take, honestly, because of the YouTube channel, I made friends. Trent Carter in particular is a local engineer here for one of the space or defense companies, contractors, invited me to a happy hour, met a whole bunch of people. Greg Voigt, if you're watching, hello. Trent, hello. I've made a bunch of friends. You'll see I post pictures of us on Twitter sometimes or on Instagram. So let's see. Why are you challenging everyone, Warren? Can you disagree without being disagreeable? So I don't challenge everyone. And I think this is the thing. The idea that we're all bulls and we're all supposed to pat each other on the backs and say how wonderful each other is, look, that's boring. It's boring and it's not honest, right? You can be a bull for one reason. I can be a bull for another reason. We can have a conversation about who's right and who's wrong. The other bulls don't mind if I question their analysis. The true bulls don't mind if I say, hey, I think you got this wrong. They don't panic. They don't freak out. But if you're a fraud, if you're a phony and somebody challenges you, then you panic. My filming Falcon Heavy, there's no point in me filming Falcon Heavy, and I want to watch it. SpaceX will have great video. You just watch the SpaceX channel, watch the NASA spaceflight video, watch Everyday Astronauts video. They'll have much better video than I can do. I shot a video recently just because it was for fun, and it didn't get many views. Lawyers don't retire, they die in their chair. I've got to wrap this up in 3 minutes, by the way. Atkill says, I think Gary hired Boomer Mama. The investment of the future fund advisors has Gary, has Alexandra, who's Tesla Boomer Mama, has Ross Gerber and 2 other people as advisory board members. It doesn't indicate whether they're compensated or not. I'm not saying they are compensated. I don't know whether they're compensated. Jupiter James says Warren has really jumped the shark. I don't know what that means. I never understand these things. I'm a boomer, man. I don't get that stuff. And your battery revenue model, do you adjust for the fact that lower prices open up many more new buyers? I think that volume will go up and average selling price will go down. That's in the base case right here. Yeah. So, all right, I'm going to wrap this up. Please join me on the Daily Lie. WarrenRedlick.locals.com. There's a link to the actual video in the description below. You have to click sign up. If you go to the video, it's going to look like you have to pay. You have to click sign up, or just go to WarrenRedlick.locals.com and register, and then you'll be able to watch the video for free. And then if you want to comment on the chat, if you want to comment on the posts, if you want to see the exclusive content, then you need to become a supporter, which I think is $5 a month. Any support is greatly appreciated. And you get to ask questions in advance for the daily live stream. So jump the show. I remember the Happy Days episode. So I'm going to wrap this up. I'll be live on the Daily Lie in about 2 minutes. Thank you to the moderators. Please check out my other videos. Please support me here on Locals, on Patreon as YouTube channel member. Check out the t-shirts. I'm going to be on the Daily Lie in a minute or two. All these t-shirts at Elon.